Hey everybody, my name is Travis and I am so excited. I'm excited because Alex from PHP Academy has invited me to make a video on his channel every now and then, and I thought, hey, why don't I start out with the best video in the world? A little while ago, Alex, who normally makes these videos, made a set of tutorials about the super sexy slide out menus. Now you can click this box to take a look at those, or you can check out the links in the doodly below. So today I wanted to riff on those videos a little bit and show you how to do something pretty similar, only this time we're going to be using exclusively HTML and CSS and no JavaScript. Okay, so to start, I want to show you the screen here. This is a website that actually you found a nice blog that I like, and here, let me show you the blog. It's called Hacking UI, and I found a nice post with some good imagery on it, and I literally viewed the source and copy and pasted it into my project. So I wanted to have a nice site. It's not just a bunch of ugliness, a bunch of gray boxes for you to look at. So here's a nice site for you to look at. What I did though is I went in behind, added this little navigation that slides out when you click this button here, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys today, how to make this slide out navigation functionality but without using any JavaScript. So I've already done it, but I'm going to go in here and I'm going to erase all the things I did so that we can start from a clean slate. Okay, so basically what you see here is the blog, and then I put it into a div called page content, and it's inside the body. Very clean. This is exactly what you expect it to be. So if I were going to start from scratch and add the sidebar, the first thing I would need to do is literally just to add the markup for the sidebar. So I'm going to do that right now in a div cleverly named sidebar. Sidebar. And then this div is going to be filled with just a bunch of list items. I'm going to call it home. Home projects. Clients. Blog, and contact. Now let's see what we got. We'll see that I put the sidebar after the page content. So if I scroll all the way down here, I'll see my sidebar. Home, projects, clients, blog, contact. First thing we're going to do in our stats actually is import Bourbon. If you're not familiar, I use a SAS framework called Bourbon, and it is super fantabulous. It has all these awesome functions and mix-ins, and a lot of the coolest things are down here, the add-ons. Like they do a really cool clear fix. One of my favorite is like just position. Like you can write a really interesting mix-in and it'll take care of all the positioning in it. So I always include Bourbon. It doesn't add any weight to your exported project, but it adds a lot of handy tools and mix-ins to use if you're using SAS or SCSS. I prefer SASS, but that is a different video altogether. So the first thing I need to do is surface that sidebar. And I think the best way to do that, instead of fighting the z-index of the page ID, is to just scope it inside of its parent that I can control, the one that I put there called page-content. So I'm going to make page-content, and I'm going to say its position relative, and I'm going to make the z-index 0. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the sidebar and call it position z-index 0 also. Now what I would like to do is have that look as like a nice slidey-outy sidebar. So I'm just going to do a really quick styling here. I actually want the position to be, this is a Bourbon mix-in. You can do position, fixed,
and then you name the top, left, right, and bottom in that order. So we're going to say top, I want to be 0 pixels. Right, I don't care. And if I just write 0 with nothing behind it, that means nothing is there. 0 pixels bottom and 0 pixels left. So when I do the sidebar, I misspelled position. When I do the sidebar, it shows up there. Okay, so I want the width 120 and padding 30 and background the 323. Let's see what we got. Ooh, that's nice. I like the color. Actually, this should be of the LI. Ooh, actually, instead of doing white, I'll make the color a little transparent. Make it white, but just a little transparent, so I can have a kind of a pleasing rollover effect when I do that. So 255 in red, green, blue with a 0.8, and then when I do and hover RGB A 255, where that means white, and then make it fully opaque. So that'll decide. Oh, yeah, it needs to be color. Okay, so these guys will be, yeah, not quite white, and then roll over and they get nice and bright. Okay, that's what I wanted, and I also wanted these guys to be font family. What is this font? Ubuntu. Keep it in the family. And font size, let's make them 16 pixels. And margin bottom is going to be 16 pixels. How does that look? Ooh, that's starting to look nice. I'm going to turn down that alias. I always forget how to spell anti-aliasing, so I do this so I do it the handicap way. Dash WebKit font smoothing anti-alias. That's what I wanted. Okay, so I add a little bit of anti-aliasing on there, so it'll look nice and crisp. There we go. Look at that. Ooh, good. And I want it to have a pointer, because I'm gonna fake it. I'm gonna fake it to look like a link. So I wanted to have a cursor, pointer. There, now it looks like a sidebar full of links. Okay, so now we need to have that link to click on. And if you remember Alex's original tutorial, he had that link called toggle, and that would be the hook that you would use for your JavaScript and say, if this link is clicked, then change the class of the sidebar. We're going to do something similar but a little bit different, but we still need that hook, that little toggle button out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to copy paste character. Copy paste character. If you don't know this website, this is awesome. You're going to give a whole bunch of Unicode characters like a snowman and an umbrella, and then all you have to do is click on it and it's copied into your clipboard and you can paste wherever you like. So I'm going to grab a cool menu looking button. There we go. Okay, actually let's put these div class page-wrap. Alright, we've got our page content, we've got our sidebar, we need to wrap them both in something that we can depend on. Okay, and then I don't want to print this, and then inside we can put our button. So you would normally do like this, anchor, href, and then nothing, class, toggle, and then have like a little anchor button there, and it's up here, you can see it making a little bit of noise. Let's hide this sidebar. Display none. Okay, you see that little guy up there? That's going to be our anchor. So let me do a few quick styles on him. wherever you are. And I called it toggle, I think, right? Class toggle. Toggle, okay. Position is I-T-I-O-N, absolute. Actually, I want to make it fixed so that when you scroll down, it'll scroll with my sidebar. 20 pixels from the top, 0 pixels from the right, 0 pixels from, or not 0 pixels, but no undefined pixels from the right, undefined pixels from the bottom, and what is this? I think it's 120 plus 30 on each side, right? 60, 70, 80. So 180 plus about 20. So that's 200 from the left. So this shorthand again means it's going to be position fixed, 20 pixels from the top, undefined pixels from the right, undefined from the bottom, and 200 from the left. Now, let's take a look. Where is it now? Toggle. It's flying around. Oh. Now I need to z-index it because, again, that body is z-indexed on top. Z-index 1, and then I want to do a few things to make it not look like it's a link. So I'll do text decoration none. Take away that underline. Font size 30 pixels. Color black. That looks pretty good. Oh, I like that highlight, but anyway. Okay, so now again with the JavaScript, we would use this anchor to say, you know, when this link is clicked, we toggle the class on and off. But what I want to do, and this is kind of where we're diverging here, is I want to take a minute to talk about something completely different. I want to talk about checkboxes, because we're using checkboxes to control the state of this sidebar. Is it open or is it not? Is the checkbox checked or is it not? And I'll show you how that's done. So let's learn about checkboxes. The first thing to understand about checkboxes is the relationship that checkboxes have to their labels. So here we have a few examples. The first one is right here. Input, checkbox, and then following it is a label. Now, normally, you check a checkbox and it's checked. We know that. But oftentimes, have you seen it where you can check a label, you can tick a label and the checkbox will actually happen? That is done in one of two ways, and this first example is not that way. Nothing will happen if you click this label here. It's basically unrelated. There's no way that the browser can know that this label is related to this tick box or this checkbox right here. So it's inert. Basically, it's just a floating checkbox by itself that just happens to be placed next to a random label. So if I want to have a relationship between the label and the checkbox, and it's what we're looking for in a few minutes, and I'll show you why, I'm going to have to connect them somehow. The first way to do that is actually to stick the checkbox inside of the label. You see how it's nested inside there? Now when I click the label itself, I don't have to click the checkbox. I can. When I click the label, it's checking and unchecking the checkbox. So that's a good way to do it. And the last way to do it is you can separate the label and the checkbox completely if you're using a few of the attributes. The label needs a for attribute, and it needs to have the content of the ID of the checkbox. So here I have the example of the label kind of floating off by its own, and then I went and took an extra measure and separated them by a div, and then inside that I have an ID. The checkbox is called surprise. The label has a for attribute of surprise, so that when I click the label, the checkbox will receive it. It will receive that check state. Now here's the key. In CSS, you can use a pseudo element of a checked. Let me show you how that works. Here we are. Okay, if I have an element and then a pseudo element of checked, it will apply the styles only if the element is a checkbox that is checked. So we're gonna use that as a way to change the state of that slide out menu, and here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna go out to the markup, and I'm gonna go in front of the page wrap, and I'm gonna say input type is a checkbox. The name and value don't matter to me right now, and I want to put the ID as a, let's call it a sidebar toggler, just because I'm not really good at naming. Okay, and that's all that matters to me right now. Sidebar toggler, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change this anchor to label. And then the ref becomes the for, and then I want to reference the sidebar toggler. Sidebar toggler. Now this can be any name you like. It could be surprise. It could be sidebar toggler. It doesn't matter. The point is that this for is going to match this ID, and that when I click on the label, it's going to tick and untick the box. So let me get rid of this sidebar so you can see that happening. Display none. Okay. You see that tick box up there? Watch what happens when I click the label. It's checked and unchecked. Now that's fantastic. That is great. The first thing we got to do is go up to our, let's throw down here, because it's an ID, so it would be heavy enough. Sidebar toggler. First thing we're going to do is get rid of it. We don't want it actually showing up in our work. Now the next thing I have to do is think to myself, where is the relationship of the sidebar toggler to the things that I actually need to toggle? If we go back to our markup, we're going to see that the input that's going to take the checked or unchecked states is a sibling of the page wrap. Now the page wrap is the parent of both the content and the sidebar and the label. So what I need to do is I need to find a way to navigate the DOM with my CSS. We're going to use a pretty complicated selector. So I'm going to say, in the case of the sidebar toggler being checked, look at its sibling, and what did I call it? Page wrap. And let's go from there. So after page wrap, let's take the sidebar and say it should be left 0 pixels, because that's going to be the out state. We're going to look at all of these things and we're going to say what's going to be the state of it being slid out. And then I want to change this to what, -180? -190, I think. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, so when I click this toggler, what's happening is it's traversing the DOM and finding that sidebar and saying, oh, you know, during the state that this tick box is ticked, this sidebar should be left 0. If it's not ticked, watch I uncheck it, the sidebar is left -190 pixels. So let's make some accommodations here. If the sidebar is checked, the toggle needs to be in its out state, which is going to be left 200 pixels, and this needs to be 20. So I'm going to check it out. Yeah, so it's going to move with it. That's good. And then the last thing I need to do is kind of mess with the state of the page content. When it's out, I want to add a little bit of padding. So you see how it's lopsided here? This content is still in the middle. I want it to be like centered and taking into account this sidebar. So I'm going to add some padding, padding left, and it's going to be about that 180 pixels there. So, okay, good. So when it's closed, That padding is gone. When it's open, it's there. Good. Now to make the CSS magic happen, I'm going to add another Bourbon shortcut of transition. Where is it? And all of this is doing, all this transition is doing is just adding on like the vendor prefixing and stuff like that. So here's how that's done. Transition. That's how it's done. Not difficult. Sidebar, I want to transition that to, so I want the toggle and the sidebar to both kind of move in and out like that. So let's take a look. Oh yes, that is nice and soft. But we're still seeing this body jump. So let's go to the page index and put that transition on too. See if that's smoother. Oh yes, much, much smoother. Cool. Now I want the default state to be unchecked. So I'm going to go to my toggle. Okay, so when I, right, okay, cool. So when I show up, I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, cool, 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 cool. So look, this is the magic. These 10 lines of code, these 7 lines of code, wherever they are. This is the magic. We don't have to do any JavaScript to do this. This is just CSS. We're being smart about how we're checking the states, and I really like this. This is just good. Cool.
Now the things that we've discussed here are not necessarily new per se. The selectors and elements have been around for actually quite a while. But the approach is very clever and I really like that, so I wanted to share it. Okay guys, that's it for today. I'm very excited that you've watched the video all the way. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the tickety below and I'll be monitoring these comments and responding throughout. Now I'll also be posting a new video on this channel every first Monday of the month. Think of it as a guest column. And if you haven't gotten enough of this guy, you can check out my channel called Dev Tips. I post a new video every Monday, and the link is also in the descriptions below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me that little bit of your day. I really appreciate it. I love to hear what you think about it below. And if you did enjoy it, if you did learn something, please, please, please share it with your friends or your mom because I heard she likes to code.
Hey, that was a lot of fun, but I just thought of another cool thing that we could do here, maybe add just a little bit more flair, and I just want to share that with you. The video is officially over. If you have watched up to this point, you have successfully watched the video. I understand if you want to quit, but if you want to stick around for just a little bit more, I'm going to take this little cool slide out up to a level 10. It's going to be pretty cool and jazzy. Jazzy is a word. Okay, let's start. Now I'm noticing here when I've written the markup that the sidebar toggler, which is the button and the page content itself and the sidebar are all 3 separate and distinct HTML nodes, which is interesting. They operate independent of each other, even though they look, you know, styled together. And we can use this to our advantage. I have the page moving over and the sidebar moving over. But I don't want the sidebar to move over anymore. I just want it to just kind of stay still. Yes, I want it to stay still. So I'm going to remove, I'm going to take the, what am I going to do? Sidebar. Okay, I want to make sidebar 0 and remove the transition and remove the toggle here. And when this starts, okay, I expected that z-index to 2, and then the page content z-index to 1. There, okay, so now I've got the page and the button on top of the sidebar, so when I open the sidebar, it's not sliding in with the page, it's kind of just being there and being revealed. And I think that's kind of fun. Now I want to do something cool to the page itself where it can have a cool transition out. So let's take this page content and not do the padding left. I want to do like I want it to be really drastic. So transition scale. No, not transition, transform. transform, scale, and I want it to scale to 0.7. And I'm going to put this same code at the top so it has a reference point. It's page content, scale of 1. And it's going to shrink, hopefully. Yep, whoa! Check that out. Okay, so a few things here. I don't want that to shrink that much. Oh, wait, no, I do. Okay, but I want to put the transform origin to be right center. I think that's how that one goes. Okay, so it's on the center of the page. The reason that I'm getting like this weird corner shift down is because it's transitioning the entire page, which is thousands of pixels tall, and shrinking that down 70% and transitioning it, transitioning it to the right and the center of the 1,000 pixel tall, whatever it is. So I want to have the page content be kind of constrained in size. So I'm going to say the height is going to be 100 pixel or 100%, and the overflow will be scroll. Let's see now. Boom. Okay, this is what I wanted. Oh, wow, that's cool. And I can scroll inside it. Check that out. With just a few tweaks, we can do like really interesting things that that is cool. With just a few interesting tweaks, we can do some really interesting things that can have like a lot of stylish flair. So just a little bit more flair for you. I'm going to come down here and put on a box shadow. 0 pixels, 4 pixels, 0 pixels from the right and left, 4 pixels from the top, and I want to do like what, 20 pixel blur and like a 20% blur or a black. That's a lot nicer. So it looks like this artifact that's kind of like shoved off to the side. And what's cool is you can actually scroll through it still. And the menu is accessible and the blog still works. I like that. It makes me happy.